What is up, everyone? Joel from Real Talk here, and man, oh man, do we have a lot of news to talk about this week. I woke up yesterday, no, actually, it was 2 days ago. I woke up 2 days ago to a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. So hyped, so much things to talk about in that trailer, so many things to talk about in that trailer. I woke up yesterday morning, found myself watching a Wolverine trailer as well, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's just Marvel everywhere. There's DC stuff. There's Beauty and the Beast stuff that I'm going to talk about this week. But you know what? I just want I just want to take a deep breath right now and just absolutely take in all the wonderful things that are coming out for movies in the next couple of months. It's going to be ridiculous. After we hit March of next year, it's going to start kicking up a notch. And I, for one, am very excited to see everything that's going to be coming out within the next year and possibly in the future. But let's go ahead and dive right into the news because, man, oh man, I got to talk about a lot of things. So no wasting time. Before we talk about anything else, please hit that like button and that subscribe button and that comment button. I mean, that comment button? I don't know. But go ahead and comment in the comments below. That'd be great. I'd really very much appreciate it. And, it does a lot to my channel that if you like, comment, and, subscribing is another step. But obviously, doing the like and the comments is very simple. You don't have to do very much there. Just let me know what you think of the movie. Let me know what you think of the everything I'm doing. Wow, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind right now, guys. I'm sorry. But let me know in the comments below what you think of all the news I'm talking about. Leave a like just because this video, it takes some effort. I'd very much appreciate it. And that subscription button obviously does a lot more. So if you can do that, that'd be fantastic as well. So without further ado, let's go right into the news. Yesterday morning, we had a new Wolverine trailer come out for the third and most likely the final movie featuring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, simply titled Logan. Now, I, for one, when I heard the title, I was just so excited for this because, it's very simple to do in superhero movies. Spider-Man 2, Avengers 2, Thor, this, or Iron Man, the clash of this or whatever. But for, Fox Studios, they've been doing such a fantastic job with their single standalone movies with Deadpool and now with Wolverine as far as titling them and kind of delivering a right tone for the first thing. They're really taking the next step into superhero movies. I think Marvel is still in their little bubble of just doing things in not the generic way, but the very simplistic and detail and formulaic way. DC still is trying to find their footing, whereas Fox Studios, they've certainly found the right direction to go with their Wolverine character, because after seeing this trailer I really enjoyed it and I'm so excited to see where it goes. A couple things about the trailer. I think it's very much brutal. It's very brutal. It's pushing for that R rating. I think that it's going to be getting an R rating. I'm not too sure if that's confirmed or not, but from the international trailer that I saw, separate from the actual trailer that came out for the public's eye, it's very brutal. Logan is very much a violent and full of brutality type of character. That adds on to the sorrow of his character, and I think that fits well with this trailer as well, because when you think about it, who else in the Marvel's universe? Forget cinematic universe. Forget Fox Studios. Forget Marvel cinematic universe. Cinematic universe. Let's talk about Marvel in general. Who is the most brutal character? I think. Who's the most brutal character you could think of in the Marvel universe? To me, that's always been Wolverine. Simply because of how he speaks to others. Of how much he kills people, because he's one of the oldest mutants in history, one of the oldest superheroes in history, because of his age, because of his ability to heal quickly. He's lived for so long, so he's obviously had to kill to survive as well. And Wolverine in this trailer definitely gives off that very violent, brutal tone that we're used to. And it's definitely pushing for that R rating. Another awesome thing that I loved about this is Johnny Cash. The usage of Johnny Cash's song "Hurt." I love me some Johnny Cash. I'm not a country fan, but if there's any country music I'll listen to, it's definitely Johnny Cash, because all the details in the words, just the wonderful quality of his voice. It's just fantastic. It's just one of those very unique voices and one of those very unique styles of music, and it fits this character of Wolverine because he's hurt. You know, he's been hurt for decades and centuries. You know, he's been through wars with humans, with mutants, with evil mutants, and some of his friends too. And now he finds himself in the pitfall of just all the aftermath of everything. Like he even mentioned to Charles in the trailer, you know, the X Men are gone. This is, you know, it's past our time. It's past my time. But in the glimmer of all that, there is some future direction for the mutants to go with, and Charles is still trying to prove that point to Logan after decades, and I mean after decades of trying to tell it to him. Um, and he introduces that with a new character, and we get introduced to X-23. Her character, if you read the comics, I don't think the trailer told us anything. I think it just said that yeah, she's kind of like you. It didn't go into the specifics of her creation, of how she originated, but you know, I think this movie will correlate a little bit with what we saw in X-Men Apocalypse, the ending with the teasers of, you know, X-23 and the genetic cloning of Wolverine. And in this movie, we get to see the clone of Wolverine, you know, finally finally out there in the real world. And she's the female version of Wolverine, the clone version. And I think this is the best way to introduce a new Wolverine character. I mean, you know, Hugh Jackman has done so much for the role. You know, Logan's character in the X-Men universe, it's so important. It's such a big deal to everybody. I love the, you know, Hugh Jackman's performances as Wolverine. You know, he's one of those characters that he is Wolverine. He is Logan. And for him to pass the mantle to a new character, he has to just, in the classic sense, die off. He really has to die off. You know, he has to pass the torch, and this movie is going to pass the torch somehow. You know, she's very young in the trailer, but at the same time she's watching and learning from the real Wolverine, and it's a very humbling experience that I think any character who is going to come in to take over another character's role should understand and should experience. Like, if we bring in a new Thor, I really think the same thing should happen. She should be taken under the wing of the old Thor. That way she's humble, that way she learns from the experiences and she knows what to do. She just doesn't she should not just appear and take over the mantle. And this movie, Logan, is definitely going to do that. I'm definitely getting the Last of Us vibes. If you've ever played the Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 and 4, I think there's two versions of it. Very awesome. Just a wonderful game by Naughty Dog, the same people who made it Uncharted. Fantastic post-apocalyptic zombie kind of game. It's a survival game, and it's fantastic because you follow one of the last survivors. You know, I guess that's the tone it was going for. One of the last survivors of the zombie apocalypse. Take a girl under his wing, you know, to make it through, just to survive this massive apocalypse. And I'm getting that sort of vibe from Logan. I think he's really protecting this girl because she's a victim. She's a victim of cloning. She had no choice in whether she wanted to be alive or not. And I think Logan's doing the best of his superhero duty to protect her. And, you know, people are after her because she's a clone of Wolverine. She can be used as a weapon. So he's very much protecting her while also passing the torch to her. So I think that's going to be the tone of the movie. There's going to be a central arc that we haven't seen yet because this is just a teaser. It's a great teaser. It's a great teaser. It gives so much information as a trailer would, but again, it's not the full 2.5-minute trailer that we are used to getting in, you know, the theaters. Let's jump into Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. He's another character that's put so much effort, so much into the character, so much life into Charles Xavier. You know, until like James McAvoy, we were like, no one's going to be replacing Patrick Stewart. He is Charles Xavier. You know, obviously, James McAvoy has put some new life into some new motivation to the character. But I always see Charles Xavier. I always picture him as Patrick Stewart, or the classic bald, old-looking dude in a wheelchair. And, you know, you have to have him in the movie for a voice of reason. And I'm so happy they brought him in because the last Wolverine movie, I enjoyed it. It just lacked a lot of the X-Men connection. You know, I really wanted there to be some X-Men connection that was just more than just one of the other X-Men. I wanted it to include Charles Xavier or one of the bigger X-Men, which it did, but that was after the credits. It wasn't a part of the actual movie from beginning to end. And now, finally, I think from beginning to end, we're going to get some more connection with Charles Xavier, and it's very important because, like Wolverine said, there's no mutants left. There's the school of gifted individuals is gone, and now Charles Xavier is trying to teach his final lesson to Logan, and it's beautiful. It sounds very beautiful, and I am so excited to see this movie, which opens up March 3rd, 2017. But let me know what you guys thought of the trailer. I wanted to give my brief thoughts about it. It's going to be very brutal. It's probably going to go for the R rating. So if you saw Deadpool and that was R rated, this is an R rated movie. I think for different reasons. Deadpool was rated R for the vulgarity of it, for the cursing, for the nudity of it as well. But Wolverine is going to be R rated simply because of the violent nature of it, which is fine because Wolverine is a violent character and it needs to be R-rated. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting topic. I'm going to talk about it in the future. Does the R rating make a better movie? Because you're offered more freedom to make a lot of different actions. You're offered more freedom to do a lot of different and new creative things. The PG-13 kind of holds you back. But that's going to be a talk and a debate for the future. Let's move on to another Marvel trailer. This one by Marvel Studios, that premiered a day before this, the Logan trailer, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy. This is very exciting for the very, very opposite reason that Wolverine is. It's not the ending of a character. It's kind of the continuation of some characters that we fell in love with a couple years ago, and that was of the Guardians of the Galaxy crew, Star-Lord, Nebula, Gamora, Dave Bautista's character Drax, Rocket and Groot. Just a great group of people that you just love to be around. It's just fun. It was a fun movie. The first one, I really enjoyed it. It was very much close in range with The Winter Soldier as far as quality of movie goes. From a superhero movie standpoint, not in general, because there's a lot, I think there's better quality movies than Guardians of the Galaxy, but I enjoyed it very much. So a couple things I wrote down for the trailer. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, by the way. It's a great trailer. It brings back Hooked on a Feeling, which is really cool because that definitely made the first trailer for the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and it drew everybody in, so it was fantastic. A couple things about this. If you saw, even in the poster, Yondu and Nebula are included more into the poster. You see more of them in the trailer. Actually, you don't see much of Nebula in the trailer and Yondu, but I really feel like they're going to be a bigger part in this movie because here's the thing. I think that there's going to be a separation of the crew because there's Drax and Gamora and Star-Lord crash land on a planet, whereas Groot and Rocket, they're seen mainly with Yondu. So there might be something going on where they're dividing the Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of just seeing where they can go with the division of characters. I'm not too sure where they're going to go with it. I'm really intrigued because, there's been separation of teams like, oh no, we lost our friends, what are we going to do type of plot. And I think that might correlate with this movie. Except for the fact that they're going to crash land on a planet that it's going to be a huge part of the movie. I think this might be Star-Lord's father's planet. I don't know if it is or not. We'll find out in the future as well. But like I said, Yondu and Nebula are going to be more involved. I really feel that's the case because they're included in the poster. Maybe it's because Baby Groot's so small they need another person in the poster or whatever. But I don't know. But let's talk about Baby Groot, man. Baby Groot's going to sell like hotcakes. I mean, we saw exactly what happened whenever this is kind of infant Groot. Baby Groot was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy with him dancing in the post-credit scene. Just fantastic and funny, little moment for Groot, and I really enjoyed it. And you're going to expect a lot of toys for Baby Groot as well. It's really going to be fun and interesting to watch. Him and Rocket are definitely going to be a cute little thing going on. Look, a little raccoon and a little tree stump. So cute. I don't know. But, Baby Groot stuff are going to sell like hotcakes, I really feel. Just like in the first one. So my biggest question in this movie was, and I ask this in every Marvel movie, and the answer always gets answered the good way, and that is, will this movie just continue Marvel's success, or will it be that first? Well, I mean, they've had a couple bad missteps, but will it be the big first misstep? I don't think so. I think that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is just going to play it safe. They have to play it safe because the first movie was a risk in itself. It's made so much money, and now if they put too much differences in the movie, a lot of people will be drawn away, and you're going to end up losing more money than you put into it the first time. So I think they're going to play it safe, which is okay. Marvel's been doing it for years, and it's not hurt their system. But I do think that there needs to be some. They need to go a step further, and I think they will go with Doctor Strange, which I'll talk about later. They might go in a different direction with that movie and with other movies. I think Guardians of the Galaxy at this point is safe. It's safe play. Just you've introduced us to these characters. Now let's have fun with them. Let's do different things with them. Let's add some drama to the group. It's the honeymoon stage is over. Let's really get deep into these characters' psyche and a little more into what makes them click, because in reality this group of people should not work together. They should not be working together, but they did in the first one, and now in this second movie we should see that kind of deteriorate, that kind of the honeymoon stage is over and I don't like you, we got this differences. There's clashes of heads in there, so definitely room for some drama. But as for the movie itself, it opens May 5th, 2017, a day after May the 4th. But definitely an exciting and interesting new movie that I think that Marvel is going to be happy to release, because James Gunn very much excited and vocal about his love for the characters for the first movie. So I think it's going to be successful. It'll definitely draw in the money. I don't know if it will. This is the first one. Depends on how the reviews are for it. If it's better, definitely. But if it's not going to lose money. I think it's a safe movie, and I think we'll be okay with it. Let's move on to more DC and Marvel talk. Actually, I didn't talk any DC, but let's move on to more Marvel talk with DC as well on the side. Joss Whedon on the Marvel and DC differences. Now, this is a very interesting thing because Joss Whedon, of course, directed the first and second Avengers film. He was kind of the one that put the bun on top of the good sandwich. He was the one that finished the good sandwich, and kind of tried to make a new sandwich all by himself, which didn't really work out. The Age of Ultron was not as good as the first one. It wasn't a great Marvel movie. I thought it was enjoyable, but it wasn't great. And so Joss Whedon, come after being cut away from the Marvel train. He's definitely come out and said a lot of different things about the differences between the two Marvel and DC cinematic universes. So let's hear from the man, as he quoted on Complex. He said, "I did not see Suicide Squad. I saw Batman vs. Superman. Everyone's got their own method. I think Marvel has been more successful systematically. DC has been more cinematic. Their stuff looks amazing, but I feel that Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, is a really good storyteller. He really cares about the coherence, and I feel like his style never defeats substance at Marvel, but a little style creeps in." So obviously, the biggest difference between the two movies, the two cinematic universes, I've noticed, everyone's noticed, is the style and somewhat tone of the movies. Everyone's been complaining, DC is too dark, or people have been complaining about Marvel being too campy or too happy. But I think Joss Whedon's not talking about that. He's talking about the look of the movies. He's talking about the look of each movie. And you can tell by the Marvel and the DC universes, DC's look is darker. The tone is, the colors are brought down. Everyone likes to jump on the whole DC hates colors bandwagon. But I do think that it's going for a different stylistic look, and that's important. I really think that's important. DC has to look different than Marvel. They have to. They cannot copy what Marvel did systematically. And Joss Whedon even said that Marvel is more successful systematically because simply Marvel has been at it for years, whereas DC is kind of late to the train. And now that DC is trying to find their footing, they might have finally found their system for it. Obviously they haven't had a successful film critic-wise yet. But there's still room to grow, and DC's cinematic universe, there's so much to explore. There's so much to explore. There's definitely a golden nugget in amongst all that big of a mess, and DC's still looking for it. They're looking for it, and they're going to find one. Eventually, they're going to, it's that classic. Hey, you just throw everything, just throw whatever sticks, and whatever sticks will stay with it. They're definitely doing that, except with probably Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman. They're always going to go back to them simply because they're big names that make money. Everything else, they're just going to throw whatever sticks on the wall and stay with it. So, as far as tone goes, you know what, I personally like DC's look and style better. I think that Marvel's look and style fits more with TV drama look. And other than Daredevil, I think Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, they look very different than the rest of the Marvel universe. But Agents of Shield, Agent Carter, they all look the same as the Marvel movies, and I think that's not good because you need to have different styles amongst your different media outlets. And I think I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it to where any character in each universe just randomly show up and it doesn't look awkward. The thing is, though, it makes the characters just look so less spectacular. I think to see like Thor just randomly appear in Agents of Shield, and then in the Thor movie it looks exactly the same. I think that Marvel definitely needs to do something with their style. And again, Doctor Strange is coming out. Maybe Doctor Strange does something different. I'm not too sure, but it's everything that I've seen since 2010. I say. I mean, the first Iron Man was very different. I think the first Iron Man has its own look, has its own tone. It's great. But ever since 2010 with Iron Man 2, every Marvel movie has looked very similar. The colors, the cinematography, the like I said, the color tone, the designs of the characters, they look so similar. And it's because they're creating a cinematic universe, and that makes sense. But I think let's spice it up a bit. Let's change up the tone. I'm tired of the same colors. I'm tired of the same tone. I'm tired of the TV cinematic look that they go for in these Marvel movies. Let's add some more style into it. It needs to be more substance. I think there needs to be more quality in the shots. But that's just me, maybe. Let me know what you think about that. I don't know. But Joss Whedon likes to keep talking. He's talked about another movie franchise that he might be a little interested in. In the same article to the Complex, Joss Whedon was talking about his interest possibly in the Star Wars cinematic universe. I guess that's what I call it. The Star Wars universe. So, hear what he said. I want to touch briefly on this because I think this is not going to happen. I think Joss Whedon's really done with the franchise deal, but you never know. You never know, and I think that it's interesting that Joss Whedon's even talking about this. So, I'm gonna go ahead and quote what he said here on Complex. He said, "Do I want to make a Star Wars movie? Yeah." I was like, I don't want to make a Star Wars movie. Like, God dang it, why? But I saw the trailer for Rogue One a while ago, and I was like, I want to do that. To make a Star Wars movie and to not be wed to the bigger picture. This is very interesting. The last part of his quote, I do not want to be wed to the bigger picture. That obviously tells you that he does not want to be in there's the one direct episode 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He does not want to be in that huge string of universes. Kind of like what he was in charge of at Marvel when he was doing the Avengers movie. He doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to stick to the spin-off movies. He wants to stick to these one-off movies that he can just come and have a joy of directing and possibly writing a single movie for a single character or for a single story amongst the Star Wars universe that's separate away from the bigger picture. That's huge. And there's a lot of doors, there's a lot of characters that Joss Whedon can grab a hold of and just absolutely make something of it. Have you ever seen Firefly? Fantastic TV series that Joss Whedon was a huge part of creating. It was his baby. But definitely, that's a great example of what Joss Whedon could do. Kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy type of movie for Star Wars. And everyone's talked about it, too. The first Guardians of the Galaxy definitely could fit in the Star Wars universe. Just because of how very futuristic it looks, of how well it looks, how fun it is. It could definitely fit in the Star Wars universe. And Joss Whedon could easily do that in one of these movies, these spin-off movies. He can't do a Rogue One sequel because he doesn't want to do sequels. He just wants to do like one-off stories. There's plenty of different things he could do. Like Like there's some video games for the Clone Wars. I can't remember what it was. Republic Commando. I think that's what it was. He could do a spin-off movie from that, like follow a group of clone troopers on a crazy mission, to track down a Sith apprentice or something like that, and just make it so really interesting and bounce off different characters. I think that Joss Whedon would thrive in that. Maybe even an Ahsoka Tano type of story of her isolation after leaving the Jedi Council. I think that'd be very interesting to see. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Joss Whedon direct the Star Wars movie, but I think that's fine. I think it's great that he doesn't want to direct an episode because those are a huge amount of stress, and there's so much on the line for those movies because those are the string of stories that we followed through ever since 1977. That's the string of movies that we have been a part of, so he definitely wants to stay away from that. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It's Joss Whedon. It's up to him. All right, so let's move on back to Marvel. Let's talk about a certain movie that's coming out in November that I've already talked about like millions of times in this video. I haven't seen it yet, but that is Doctor Strange. And early screenings for Doctor Strange have happened, and a lot of critics and people who have seen these screenings have given off their opinion. Now I'm going to read off some of the stuff that I kind of jumbled in together from different tweets just to drive in a consensus by all these critics. And look at me, I'm like Rotten Tomatoes trying to make one little paragraph of what the movie is, but I know. But let me go ahead and read off some of the stuff, and then I'll give my thoughts and interpretation on the screenings. So some early screenings have quoted that the latest Marvel film is filled with action sequences unlike anything Marvel's done, and are ferociously loopy, frantic, and nerdy. Others claim that the film has quote-unquote big ideas, gorgeous CGI, and unique action sequences. Others like the film overall and claim it to be a visual treat. Nothing about the story, but some have said that the movie has great characters and that Benedict Cumberbatch is fantastic. So, not a lot. I don't think there's a lot because obviously they want to keep the story under wraps. There's no spoilers in it, but it's everything we thought it was. It's going to be a visual treat. It's going to be full of amazing action sequences. It's going to be full with mind-blowing visuals. Those you saw in the trailer, some of those buildings and building shots, just absolutely beautiful. They look great on the movie screen. And like I said before, Marvel needs to do something different visually. And I think this could be the thing. This could be what drives Marvel forward with a new direction and a new look. I really hope that's the case. But there was not much about the story, and I really wanted to hear about the story. Like, how was the character? I mean, how was the story from beginning to end? Was it clear? Was it fun? Was it exciting? People said that the characters were exciting. They were fun. People loved Benedict Cumberbatch, but I didn't hear much about Tia Swalden's character. I was really wanting to hear what they thought about her, but they said that they had great characters, so I don't know if they're talking about her character or for other characters. So it's not very clear, but I think that the big message that Marvel's trying to send with these screenings is that the movie is going to be a visual experience more than any other in Marvel's cinematic universe history. It's going to push the boundaries as far as what it does with CGI, with 3D stuff. I think this movie will be coming out in 3D. It's going to be visual pleasing, very much like Inception. Will it have as good of a story as Inception did? I don't know. Christopher Nolan's a pretty ambitious person, so he's definitely pushed the boundaries with his story as well. But Marvel is pushing the boundary with visuals. They brought in a fantastic actor in Benedict Cumberbatch, so sky's the limit. It really all depends on the script. It depends on the tone of the movie. Depends on the plot lines from beginning to end, how they clean up, how they correlate with the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what it's all about. And Marvel needs to make sure that they string in the movies with all together like a nice little knot. And they've been doing that They've been doing that to perfection for years and years. But I want the movie to be a joy on its own standpoint too. So, be interesting to see where that goes. All right, guys. So we're gonna end it with this, and it's something very subtle, but something that I really am so excited for, and not a lot of people that I know are. which is surprising because if you see the statistics about this movie, it might tell you a different story. But we're talking about Beauty and the Beast, the CGI, not CGI, the live action adaptation of the classic 1991 animated classic movie from Disney. My favorite animated movie from Disney of all time. Uh, Wonderful music, beautiful animation, great story, awesome characters, everything you want in an animated movie. But let's talk about the live action adaptation that's going to come out next March of 2017. So, we're hearing from actor Josh Gad. Yes, Olaf himself. He's talking about the upcoming film and what he thinks about the season of spring. He's going to be having a new song in the movie called Spring. Yes, he's going to be singing just like he did in Frozen about summer, but this time about spring. No, I'm kidding. But he has talked about the movie and where direction it's going to go in terms of its differences from the 1991 movie. So, this is Josh Gad. He's claiming that the new live action adaptation is going to go deeper into the story, according to ET Online. This is a direct quote from him in that article. So he says, it evolves from the original. Like Jungle Book evolved from the source material, like Cinderella evolved from the source material, but it goes further into the trenches in terms of the mythology and in terms of the characters. And there is a scope to it and a pathos to that. Having seen it, I can tell you that I can tell you is unexpectedly very emotional. I just think that the new music as well as the old music is going to blow everyone away. It's worth noting that the film will stick to its musical roots while adding new songs into the mix. It is a good sign for the movie that it has passed Star Wars The Force Awakens as the most hyped movie on the face of the earth, after passing its 24-hour viewership record for a movie trailer. The movie is set to come out March 17, 2017. March 17, 2017. That's pretty cool, actually. Let that roll off your tongue. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this movie. This has been one of the most anticipated movies that I've been waiting for a good year, ever since they announced the cast, ever since they announced the group that are directing it, the group that is writing it. I'm so excited for this movie because the 1991 movie is definitely worth a live-action adaptation. There's a lot of movies out there from Disney in the past that are getting their live adaptation movies, and I think that since Disney's been doing this a lot better recently, I have so much faith into it. Like Cinderella that came out last year was great. I don't think there's been one this year other than Jungle Book, but that was great. And now we're getting a Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite movies. It's actually my favorite Disney animated movie of all time. Like I said earlier, I think in my last This in Week review, This in Week news, I talked about a little bit of how that's going to follow the Jungle Book in terms of mixing in the CGI with the live action performances. You have a great cast in this. You have a fantastic cast in this, and there's definitely room for it to expand, because the original 1991 movie, it's very short. It's a very short movie in terms of how animated movies are nowadays. And so with a live action movie, it's going to expand even more. It's going to add in more songs. It's going to put in possibly more characters, give us a little more in-look on each character. I definitely want to see a little bit more about the Beast's backstory. I kind of want it to start exactly like in 1991, but in a real cinematic way, not just in mosaic paintings or whatever. And that was beautiful. That was beautiful, by the way. I had no problem with that. But I definitely would like to see the live action version of it, which would be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. You can tell that I'm excited for this movie. But the biggest question on this movie is, will the soundtrack of the live action be as good as the original? Because the original was pretty awesome. That adaptation went to Broadway. That's how great it was. That was made into a Broadway musical. So that's one thing that it tells you about its musical. I've actually seen the musical too, and it's fantastic. It's great. There's also music in the musical that wasn't in the movie, so I'm not sure if those are going to get added into the final movie or not. It's definitely worth noting. But let me know what you guys think of this. I really am excited for the Beauty and the Beast movie. I think it's going to be the the best. I think I really feel like it's going to be the best out of every Disney live action adaptation because they've only gotten better. And at this point, what can Disney do wrong? I mean, they've done well with Marvel. They've done well with Star Wars. Their animated movies are back on on firm ground with Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, and some other movies coming out. So there's no reason to doubt Disney is going to fall flat with this one, especially with such a precious and such a wonderful story as Beauty and the Beast. Um, there's just too much. There's too much money involved in it to fail. So let me know what you guys think of this news. Let me know if any of this news was intriguing to you guys. Let me know what you thought of anything that I talked about. Joss Whedon, the new trailers that came out for Marvel and Fox Studios, the talks about the Benedict Cumberbatch, not the Benedict Cumberbatch, just Doctor Strange movie. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm gonna leave it open to you guys in the comments. Let me know what you thought of all this that's happened. I really much appreciated you for listening to me for this long, but I'll be back next week for more. I'll try to put out some reviews for some of those other trailers, but they're so short that it's I don't know if you can really dive in really in depth in those trailers, not like you could with Rogue One. So leave me in the comments below what you thought about this weekly video. And I'll see you guys next time. And thank you for watching. This has been Joel from Real Talk. See you next time.